Welcome race fans back to Deviant Racing. My name is Webbo, here to join you for today's penultimate round of season 4.2. This is the GTDPRO race, of course. We are in Croatia for the Dragon Trail Gardens reverse configuration, if memory says yes, that's all correct. So we also have no safety car today, so we're going for green flag lights to flag here for the race. This is how things look left of your screen. We have Don't Need Time leading the championship, almost an unassailable lead at this stage now with 83 points with his drop score. He has won the last 4 races on the trot. He has been almost unbeatable as qualifying is about to get underway here. Second in the championship is Zen, way back on 57 points with a drop score, and Glovas runs in P3 on 49 points. On 45 is Komakopa, showing very well in the last race, his best race of the season, followed by Chaotica in 5th. We have Larry in 6th. Zanshin, Kamzilla, Nismo, Floody and Mercury are all above the potential relegation line in the post-season playoffs, with Junkai, Arcane and Preston very much in line for that race off 4 positions. Team Sony Interactive lead the championship after round 5 on 187 points with the drop scores taken into account, with Team Wunderfahrt on 152. 404 Motorsport, NASCAR 3rd and 4th, with Polyloco, Team Builder and Predator all now on 3 figures. Let's get you some racing cars going quickly, shall we, as we get underway, and I will go trackside for you for the race coming up. I'm just going to turn down the game sound slightly. I've been trying to make sure I can get this for you, and obviously what I don't want to do is end up with too much game sound. So let me know if you're watching live in the chat as to whether our levels are okay or not. I'll just go on board with Zen and we'll get an idea about how the engine sounds. Obviously this is about the loudest you would want versus voice, and while I talk about voice, I must also just mention that I'm still recovering. My throat is a little bit rough, so if I take a break, take a drink, I will try to cough off mic for you as we get underway with the first flying lap then on board with Zen, as we turn then in towards what I think is going to be quite a dangerous turn 1 and turn 2, double right-hander at the top of the hill, square profile both of these two, and then we plunge back downhill and underneath the racetrack surface. I think that's part of the seaside configuration, but I haven't had that confirmed. Now it is a quadruple left section here, reminiscent of the famous turn 8 on the Turkey circuit. I'm not sure if there is a US racing. I suppose the Kota circuit configuration is very similar, but very much the snaky section of this switchback part of the circuit we're into now. Lots of elevation change mid-corner on the circuit as we head then down to the hairpin. This is going to remove one of the major braking zones on the track going this way round, but we should still have one into turn 1 at very least, and possibly into the spike profile high curbed apex piff path that's coming up here as we head into this next corner. This is very difficult to get right every time. You can straddle those sausage curbs on the inside. If you make sure you do it off throttle, you can run that down the center line of your car, but it's difficult to aim for. This now becomes a difficult constant radius right-hander, but of course the speed will scrub off, and your exit out of here is going to be really important come race time as well. 10 minutes of qualifying, we're into 3 minutes and 25 seconds before the first lap is even done. Glovas goes fastest. Zen managed only a 134.1. Nismo is in second place, with Junkai going in, and S. Berman then. Zanshin taking provisional pole position. Don't Need Time is right in there immediately, and then we ride with Kamzilla, who managed only a 34.3 at this point on the track. Here comes Komakopa, flushed with confidence after his recent strong result. Before we go for K. Morris to cross the line, he goes in 11th. Mercury, hosting today's session, goes 12th, now 13th, because Larry slotted into 11th, and he was beaten by somebody else who went up the order, and I couldn't quite catch exactly who that was going to be. 132.391. Don't Need Times first and very good flying lap. Hopefully we've got everybody's liveries. My apologies if we haven't. I did all the right things before we started today, but you know how it goes with Gran Turismo. Sometimes it's down to the designer not sharing the livery out. It looks like Camzilla's livery hasn't come through again, unfortunately, but this is then don't need time on the second hot lap on his tyres. Unfortunately, I haven't got my chat overlay isn't functioning very well for me right now. Let's see if I can't open that up on a separate tab for myself, and then hopefully I can say hello to everybody who is taking the time to join us live today. Let's have a look if I can get in there. But do say hello if you're joining us live. Hi to Jim. Yeah, feeling well enough, thank you, Jim. Yeah, appreciate it. But as I say, it may not be a perfect performance today when it comes to consistent voice ability. Here comes Junkai, and he's on his next flying lap. It looks like we had Don't Need Time has gone into the pits, just on one flyer and come back straight into the pit lane. So he is obviously keen to just take his time, make sure that he gets a good position on his next lap. We're about to get an update through the first sector, and it's only slightly slower, 37 thousandths of a second. The sky's not looking particularly comfortable for our racers here at the moment. Slight worry, I suppose. Jim, check my audio levels, please, if you would be so kind. And just to mention that Super Chat is open, and as is the chat leaderboard. So we have live leaderboard for contributors to the channel, so you can. Thanks, Jim. So you can take part. You can also leave tips today during or after the live stream if you so desire. Don't Need Time in first place, Junkai in second. We ride with Junkai as he chases down that provisional pole position. That was a much tighter line than we saw on board with our first flying lap. I think that was Zen. There's a spun 404 Motorsport car on the entry point to the final corner, usually turn 1. Now the final turn, of course, as we head forward, and let's see if Junkai can go any quicker. He's actually 0.4 of a second slower on the second flying lap on those soft tyres. S. Berman heading in towards the hairpin now in the team builder Lamborghini Huracan. I don't know if Jim is busy practicing for his race coming up or committing his time to watching his teammates here. We'll see. How different is the strategic challenge, Jim, for the racers here today, given the fact that we are not having any kind of safety car? And I don't know if we've actually got 14 races on this one. Combination of both, says Jim. So just got this going in his left ear. In his right ear, he's got his own engine note, perhaps. Here comes S. Berman to close out his flying lap, then his second flying lap, and it's a 33.1. It's not actually any quicker. We've got Don't Need Time running through the snake now, or the spikes on the back of the dragon, as it were. Some new times coming in. It looks like we've got Don't Need Time, Junkai, Berman, and Karma Copa. As Jim says, it's going to be interesting to watch how everyone does this race, and then what I presume for GTD make some adjustments afterwards, right? You learn from what the best strategy is in this race if you're able to watch it closely enough, and then make any corrections to your proposed strategy. Junkai Nismo into the pits. Don't Need Time hopping over those curbs. That was neat and tidy from Don't Need Time through the piff path, I'm going to call it. The tight chicane as we run through then the final corner, looking for a good exit point here, just modulating, monitoring the throttle on the way through. Don't Need Time will cross the line. Will this be a better time from him? Not quite. 0.2 of a second only slower as the fuel starts to come off the car, but unfortunately taking quite a bit out of the soft tyre here. 8 minutes 43 on the clock. Really will only get one more flying lap in here, I would have thought. So we'll see how he does on the run. This is an outlap for Junkai. Let's have a check-in with Berman here as he comes to cross the line. This is a flying lap at the moment. An attempt, it's better. It's second place from Berman, who goes 0.2 of a second better to a personal best time of a 1 minute 32.566. Where is Komakopa? Can he get himself up onto the provisional front row of the grid as well? There he is. He's 0.2 to the good. He's got a 0.5 deficit to the fastest time from Don't Need Time. He's only got 0.2 to catch Junkai at this stage. So he's going to be hoping that he can make that happen. Into the hairpin we go. We may see some drivers try overtakes down there, but the exit is going to be what's important out of the hairpin today. Berman pits. That's too late for there to be any adjustment to his time. Komakopa has lost a little bit of time over the run there, as Don't Need Time has managed to not find a decent gap and has found himself stuck behind Floody. That's a lot of dirty air for Don't Need Time as he comes across the line. I don't think this will be an improvement from him. That's actually 0.5 of a second slower from him, caught in the dirty air of Floody, as Komakopa would be feeling that as well. The driver's coming through then to finish out this qualifying session. I think it's on a 30-second overrun. Komakopa to the front, then 0.3 of a second better than he'd been before. Only 1.5 away from Don't Need Time's pole. Tremendous qualifying session then from the top group here, as we'll have a look at the result. It's Don't Need Time in the Peugeot. A 132.3, a 132.5, much more like it. Love to see these close times then from Komakopa for Team Predator. For Team Builder is Berman in third and Junkai for Polio Loco. Great to see different manufacturers all challenging here. Zen qualifying in 5th place for Wunderfurt, and then Glovas, Nismo and Chaotica making out the top 10. We've got Camzilla in the Predator in the Shark livery. Hopefully he's mended that door. Floody in 10th, Preston in 11th, Larry 12th, K Morris in 13th, and Mercury managing in the Minolta 404 managing 14th place. So those are your qualifying positions. As Kuros Kai saying, looks like the Ricola worked. It's just race 2 of the day for the commentary. So let's hope so. I've got further throw sweets ready at hand and a drink. So we will see. In fact, I should now just take a quick swig. Let me just check in with the start times. I've got 4 times. It's sunrise, so it's going to get brighter rather than darker. So that's great. Weather radar for the preceding time. No known weather happening here with regard to the Croatian coastline. So I think we are going to be a-okay. It's just going to get brighter and clearer skies. I personally, I can still hear a croakiness to my voice. I hope it's not coming through too badly. I know it's really uncomfortable when someone is coughing and spluttering through a broadcast. So I'll do my best to move the microphone. But I do use a headset mic so that I stay a consistent distance from the microphone. So you don't get audio inconsistency. But yeah, hopefully you guys are all ready for a strong race. Coming up soon, we will have the final race in 2 weeks' time of the season. We'll have a look at all these beautiful liveries, some of which have changed, some of which have not for a while. It looks like all of them have actually come through this week, which is great to see. They just wouldn't function on the replays as consistently as I would have liked. We probably could have got away with a 15th driver today, but 14 full-time drivers, certainly not complaining about a strong field to that level. So we're looking forward to the start of the race. I'd love to hear what your predictions are for the race, and hopefully you can let me know who you think is going to be right up there at the front. The race is about to get underway. We have 1 hour of racing for you. I think just 1 minute delay before we got underway from the hour. So nothing, no problems there whatsoever. Hopefully we'll be well in time for the GTD race, and you guys will be able to enjoy this hour race with us here. So just getting your right camera angle. Don't Need Time and Komakopa will take on this Dragon Trail Gardens for the 6th and penultimate round of season 4.2. It's dropped the clutch and it's go, and it looks like Don't Need Time is away well, but but in the Ferrari, Comacopa burst forth into the lead of the race, and unfortunately he's so fast his livery didn't make it with us. Here comes John Kite challenging for second position with championship leader and four-time back-to-back winner Don't Need Time, who's now in second place on the racing medium tyres. Comacopa got ahead in the Ferrari on the hard tyres and made up a position, so it just goes to show how strong that Ferrari is early on. As I'll just stab something into the replay buffer, and hopefully we can replay the start here if there were any incidents. But the irony here is, of course, we've got no safety car today, and barely anything has gone wrong for anybody. Preston a little bit wide on the way into the snake there. He filters back into between Kamsa in 7th and Floody in 9th, and we've got Mercury up from the back on the hard tyres, making a good start. Something wrong with S. Berman and the team builder liveries lately as well, just getting that default green. My apologies. Then we've got the Game of Thrones livery for Zen here. I think it looks like you know nothing, as 3 wide we will go here as Berman needs to try and communicate here to the guys with him that he could get burnt as they head on into the into the right-hander of the Piff Paff chicane, and Zen is the one that lost out, I'm afraid to say. Round goes Zen. It looks like Zen has avoided damage on the car, and he's the first one to fall then, and he will hope that it won't affect his race too much. Let's have a look there. He just got a little nibble on the outside, and it was just enough there. One more time, perhaps, just to get that clarity of what happened. Here he is going into the corner, just trying to tip in. Maybe not leaving enough room. Maybe the green car on the inside was pinballed into him, unfortunately. But Comacopa leads us ahead of Don't Need Time here, and they are leaning on the left-hand side, on the right-hand side of the car as they go through the triple left, now quadruple left even, as it is going through the corner. Don't Need Time on the medium tyres is being held up at this stage by Comacopa's hard tyre shod Ferrari. Meanwhile, John Kai trying to slip one down the inside, doesn't quite work. He's going to leave himself slightly vulnerable here to Globas in the Minolta 404 Motorsport Mercedes AMG, but he isn't quite able to find his way through. So we've got Nismo in 5th place behind this group, but at the moment it is a great 4-way battle. Comacopa and Don't Need Time at the front, not far away. John Kai and Globas. Don't Need Time setting a best of the session. Well, it is lap 2, so everybody's doing that, unfortunately. Oh, Don't Need Time, too much on the curb, way too much curb on the entry into the Piff Paff, but he just about dealt with it. Well held from him, and unfortunately Comacopa in the all-red Ferrari, the stock colour scheme Ferrari here. We've got the stock Honda for John Kai, the NSX. It's not showing as his Polo Loco livery, unfortunately. What should it be? It should be is that Chick-fil-A? I think it was. But we have seen that before, and it's not a guest special livery at the moment. Chaotix is definitely rocking something new here for the Peugeot here. Is it Parappa the Rapper, this one? I think, if I know my game history correctly. Don't Need Time making a slight nuisance of himself here in Comacopa's mirrors, but Comacopa not over-committing to the defence, which he's a wise head, Comacopa, even though he's wearing a VR system. Headlights are on. It is low enough light for the headlights to be on, but it is sunrise, so the conditions will actually improve throughout the course of our racing hour. We are 4 minutes down only, 3 laps in, no safety car to wait for. If you're late joining us, no safety car today, and unfortunately Nismo's Nismo in the NASCAR livery has not come through either today, sadly. Camzilla in the stock red Ferrari, that should be his Blue Shark livery. And then we've got Floody here in the Game of Thrones with possibly a He-Man Skeletor style sticker on there as well. I'll get a close look at that later on. Well, actually, I can't look at the cars later on. I've just realised, damn, that sucks. I should have done that at the start. We've got Mercury then in P10 with Berman very, very close behind, and now passing as Mercury stuffed up the Piff Paff. Berman just about managed to avoid contact at the back of the Mercedes. Larry's there too. So something possibly with the team builder liveries, because I've struggled to get those lately. I don't know if a recent update has meant that they haven't shared it to everyone and only to friends. I don't know. It could be that. It could be you need to share the livery with everyone in order to make it through. Here is K Morris. Neither of the Nismo liveries have made it through. K Morris is at the back of the grid at the moment, and Zen has lifted himself from the back after that first lap incident, going into the Piff Paff chicane at the end of the longest flat out section. We have sadly missed the overtake for Don't Need Time. Here it comes. So it was a mistake from Komakopa, was it? Well, he was climbing around the back of the apex on the entry to the to turn 1, and then here comes our serial winner, Don't Need Time, the almost undefeated Don't Need Time. Was certainly undefeated in the last 4 races. It took a long time here, and it's going to be a big drop down in towards the wow, this is really taking a long time to get to this this overtake. In fact, I'm not sure we're even going to get there, are we? How is this possible? I've never seen a replay run so long. This is astonishing to me. Usually the replay only runs for about 20 seconds, but it was Komakopa just slightly wide, and I think it's going to be the better exit out of this corner. Little touch from the rear, possibly. Yeah, I don't know what to make of that. Somehow we ended up unable to see the overtake, but suffice to say, Don't Need Time is now leading the race on the medium tyres. He will stretch out now his lead as he did in the previous round in Deep Forest, as Chaotic has moved his way up to 3rd position. The Peugeot RCZ seemingly not able to find a bad circuit to race at. Junkai looked a little bit wide in the background there, and Chaotica then in the preschool coloured Peugeot RCZ for Parappa the Rapper, which I think was a musical rhythmic game before the likes of Rock Band came with additional peripherals. It was a controller based rhythm game, if memory serves me correctly. Anyway, Chaotica running tight on the medium tyres behind Komakopa, who's on the hard tyres at this stage of proceedings. They will need to change compound if the race stays dry, and I'm pretty sure it is scheduled to. Junkai just a little bit wide through the Piff Paff again, and Nismo will take that and go around the outside and storms up to 4th position. Glovas is right there as well, following through past the Honda NSX driven by Junkai. Just check out whether Chaotic is close enough here to make an overtake. It's only 0.3 of a second to Komakopa, so we will see if anything occurs between those two. This is Junkai then trying to get his place back from Nismo, but that's not going to be an easy task at all. So Junkai P5 at this stage, number 99, trying to find some weaknesses in in Nismo's car or setup around this circuit, but this track really is quite a challenging one. It's a track not often raced, you have to say. A lot of the fictional tracks do get ignored in Gran Turismo, in league racing, but here we've been back to back. The last 3 races have been at the fictional circuits. We've had Trial Mountain, Deep Forest, and now here we are in Croatia for this Gardens configuration of the Dragon Trail, which for a long time I'm afraid I call Dragon Tail. It's Mercury in 9th place for the Minolta Mercedes-Benz, and Larry in 10th. Cam Zinner in 11th. We've got K Morris at the back, near the back in 12th, but it looks like Zen might have taken a pit stop or had another accident. I think it's probably the latter of those two. Zen not enjoying life right now for Team Wunderfets. It's putting that Game of Thrones livery on, unfortunately, it seems. Preston at the very back for Team Polyloco in the KFC branding today. The leader is Don't Need Time by now 3.4 seconds, as we see Komakopa and then Chaotica chasing down Komakopa and making a meal out of turn number 2. So losing a little bit of time. Let's see how the cars feeling here everybody wants to drive this Peugeot this season, I think, and Team Sony Interactive are the ones who drew the lucky straw. It's a nice little whistle off throttle as well. There it is. Do love a bit of that. But it's only 1 second behind is still Nismo, in the Nismo. Let's have a good look then at Parappa the Rapper. And this is also sponsored by Kick, it seems, as well. Punch Punch Kick. Oh, as in Kick Sauber Kick. Nice, I like it. Yeah. I wonder if we've got Alexandra or Larry's family watching, whether Gus or Charlie would like to give their opinion on that particular livery. I'm not entirely sure myself, but do we like Parappa the Rapper? Have we heard of Parappa the Rapper? And Glovass, wow, just held on going through that corner. That was tough, really tough to go through there. So we almost lost the car here. Obviously designing his own livery here for 404 Motorsport. There he is, completely over the top, and that there's a very blunt end on this reverse configuration. There's a very blunt ended Armco barrier on the way through there, and that would cause untold amounts of damage if you were to hit that. So well rescued from Glovass there, as we have a look then at this Minolta livery. This is celebrating brands we have loved and lost, as we should all know by now, for the Team 404 Motorsport. And I do like this one. It's got a nice simplicity to it, and it's got some racing credentials as well. I think Minolta were a strong supporter of motorsport as well. Certainly I've seen their logos around in historic racing. Here is Chaotica, not far away now at all. Let's join him on the hood, or on the front fender actually. This is on the hood, as we try to just do something different to what Komakopa is able to do in the Ferrari. Komakopa, of course, has the opportunity to choose his own line through the corners, and then Chaotic has to adjust from behind. Jim says, let's go Team Sony. Looking forward to, Jim, the game of choice today from the GTD drivers as well. Unless you're just sticking with the same as last race. But this gap is 0.5 of a second only between Chaotica and Nismo, excuse me, and Komakopa. 2.1 seconds further back to Nismo, and then a nice tight battle. We've got Junkai not far away, then Glovass we ride with here, and Floody just behind as well. 3 cars separated by less than a second across all 3 of them. Floody trying to move forward at the moment in P7 on the medium tyres as well. I imagine the drivers will, for the most part, be 2-stopping today. I think removing the caution period will probably remove the ability to 1-stop, because obviously we're running at green flag conditions the whole race long, rather than having that pause where we can run high gear and take a couple laps off the fuel allocation. Let's see what happens though. The drivers starting on the hard tyre will have given themselves that opportunity to maybe try and get through to minute 35 or so, and try and run a set of mediums to the end. But of course a change of compound, meaning you have to run one of the shorter life tyres wherever possible. So this is the Game of Thrones livery for Team Wunderfeld. I think that's because, if I know my Game of Thrones history correctly, and I'm not a TV show fan, I'm a massive book fan of the of Game of Thrones series. I think that's because a lot of it was filmed in Croatia, Team Wunderfeld. I think that's what's going on here. But very smart, very low key, you have to say. It's not going to win any brightness awards, and it's going to be missed by a lot of the crowds on row Z on the stands. But nice matte black finish there for Team Wunderfeld. So I do like it. Let me know your pick in the live audience. Let me know your pick of the liveries so far today, as we have Don't Need Time leading Chaotica and then Komakopa. So that looks like we've had an overtake. So I don't know if we're going to catch that in the replay buffer. Sadly not, no. But Chaotica has finally made a move as his medium tyres start to degrade, I think, at this stage. Comacopa's hards are just coming good, really, right now. So he's only 8.8 seconds away from the lead, 1.4 away from second. I think Comacopa, having moved jobs, moved home, moved state, I think he might be in a good place at the moment after the last race. And I say that, and he hops directly over the Piff Paff curb and completely unsettles his Ferrari. Of course, any damage on the cars today will not be able to be fixed in the pits. We do run light damage and temporary damage here in Deviant Racing League. Other leagues carry heavy damage, which is permanent until you've pitted. So less of a problem as a result. Just try and keep the pack together and minimise the problem of having accidents. But this one, the first GTD or GT World Challenge race for a long time, since my tenure here at Deviant Racing League, without a safety car. So an experiment, possibly, doing something a little bit different, certainly, for this season. So we'll have to see if this stays as a feature on the calendar for season 4.3. Sign-ups are open for season 4.3. If you're watching, join via the link in the description of today's video and make your preferences felt. You probably have to join GTD or GT World. Is it GT Sport or GT World? I think it's GT Sport, the third tier, but I'm sure the sign-ups will take into account if you have prodigious alien speed. Yeah, sign-ups are open for a start for season 4.3 on September 7th, if I am correct in my last information I received on that front. Don't need time. Chaotica, Comacopa, your top three. Not far away. Only 10.9 seconds from the lead is Nismo in fourth, with Junkai and Glovas following very closely behind. So this one building to what could be a very, very interesting race later on. Comacopa, Nismo, Junkai, Glovas, all that mid-pack who started on the hard tyres. Don't need time and Chaotica are on the mediums. And here comes Junkai. Will we go for a move then in towards the double right-hander at the start of the lap here in the reverse configuration? Can't make up my mind at the moment whether this reverse configuration is better or worse for racing. I think we're seeing fewer overtake opportunities potentially as a result of making this change. And the final corner is actually going to be a lot easier with the shorter build-up to it than the first corner used to be. So maybe we're going to see fewer mistakes. Yeah, if you are watching, Jim says I don't like the reverse. It is harder to pass. Okay, well, good. I'm glad that my suspicions are backed up at least by you, Jim. Here is Junkai in the Honda, getting really sucked into the Nismo rhythm here, and they're about to end up stuck behind, I think, Comacopa, who's perhaps spent a little bit too much out of his hard tyres early doors. No, in fact, his hard tyres are in better shape than Nismo's. So Comacopa just needed to lift the pace a little bit, I think. How's his fuel looking? It's a little bit worse than Nismo's. The Japanese manufacturer cars typically more fuel economic. Here in the Japanese-produced Gran Turismo, I'm not saying that's a conspiracy. It's just it's something that happens to be true. Junkai in fifth, gap opening to the car in front, Nismo. Glovas chasing in sixth place. Oh, we've had a problem. We've had a problem for Floody, unfortunately. Let's see what went down for Floody here. It's just an issue. Too much curb, maybe on the apex. Maybe just a slight loss of concentration. And then it is all important to stay out of the barrier, of course. Reversing across the racetrack. Let's get underway. Come on. What's happening here? Restart really taking a long time to get going. So interesting issue there for Floody, but he holds on to 7th place at least. Sorry, to 9th place, I should say, as Mercury and Berman got by through that phase. That is like a Skeletor, or that's like a skeleton He-Man front of the of Floody's car, is it not? Yes, it looks like it, and there's the Washington Commanders football helmet as well on there, as differing from his teammates' livery. Camzilla close behind. Zen also having a problem at the start, but on the chase back. Zen is currently 31 seconds, just under, from the race lead. Zen has got to produce the goods here to try and bring Team Van der Vaart forward, if he can. But it's a big challenge without the safety car period, so he's going to be thinking about ways in which he can do something different. Certainly try not to get caught up in other people's pace. So I think a pit stop looming very soon would be sensible. 39 minutes to go, so we're nearing the point where the hard tyres will go through to a finish, I suspect. Here are Zen's tyres at the moment. So just contrast that with the leader, and they're roughly the same actually. The two leaders, their front left is the most limited tyre. The only time has a 9.1 second gap at the front of the race right now, and I see that only growing throughout the course of today's race. Unfortunately, it looks like we're not going to have a challenge for the win. Here is Chaotica in P2. And Komakopa not letting Chaotica get too confident, too far away, but he's certainly running towards the end of his medium tyre stint. I think minute 35 to go, minute 35 will be the cut-off for the hard tyres to switch to the medium, and in reverse, minute 25, in about 3 minutes time, will be the cut-off for the medium tyre runners to come in, fuel up, and get going for the main race. Of course, we can still see plenty of mistakes, errors and accidents and incidents throughout the course of the race, so by no means are these places settled till the finish. Komakopa hopping over that second part of the curb, Nismo grabbing a little bit too much of the first part of the piff path, and so they're now and round the final corner, then long sweeping right-hander. Multiple lines available with the camber on this run, but great to see drivers pushing as hard as they are. Let's perhaps see on board, shall we, with Nismo. Oh, Komakopa just going very long, and then he's going to get hit from behind from Nismo, who's taking a different line through the corner. Komakopa, I think, trying to go pretty wide for a narrow early throttle, but it just didn't quite work out for him. Let's try and give you a full mirror view then of what's going on here on board. They're all starting to trip over each other here a little bit, getting a little bit impatient perhaps. And actually Nismo wearing that front left quite alarmingly. He'll be lucky to get another 10 minutes out of that left front tyre and make this a one-stopper, which I think is going to be the aim for the majority of our drivers today. This is lap 15, minute 23, nearly minute 24 underway. And we try to see if anything's going to happen with this pair at the moment. It's so difficult to get right every time. You can time trial this track and get those piff paff chicanes correct, but as soon as you're in the hunt for a race pace, it is just wholly unpredictable as the tyre condition changes, the fuel weight effect and the weight transfer changes throughout the course of a race distance. You have to anticipate what the car is going to do every time you get there, and every time it is slightly different. Glovas very long and late into the first two corners, but doesn't lose a position, just loses ground a little bit. So this should be, let me see, this should be the Tutsi livery, so not a new one on Team NASCAR, and I don't think Komakopa's is new either. It might be red and gold, it seems, for the Team Predator captain here. Up front, Don't Need Time and Chaotica are still ahead of this group. Komakopa is only 3.6 seconds away from Chaotica's second position. I think everyone is racing for second or worse here today, with the exception, of course, of our leader, Don't Need Time, going for his 5th race win on the bounce. I believe 5 is a record, or certainly 6 will be a record, but I believe that that will represent one of the strongest in-season performances by any driver here at Deviant Racing League, especially in the top tier. But Don't Need Time has been peerless and unstoppable so far. Can he do it in the final round of the season as well? Only time, of course, will tell. To basically get a perfect score, which would be 6 wins in the season, because you have to drop your worst score, would be absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. So Nismo then just losing ground to Komakopa slightly at this stage, with Globas in 6th place. We're past the point now where I think the medium tyres, the medium starters can safely get home on a one-stop, as the hard runners are begging for those minutes and seconds to be used up in the race and get into the second half of the race distance. It's pretty impressive how tight the battles still are, notwithstanding S. Berman, who's 15 seconds away from 6th and 3.7 from 8th. But we do have a couple of really good groups of drivers, all challenging each other. Zen has got up ahead of Mercury here. Zen was last or almost last after that first lap incident. He's got lots of work to do then. I like the colour-coded use of the Webbo Comms Star Wars style sticker on the rear window, on the rear quarter there. That works very nicely with the Game of Thrones references and colour scheme. But Zen in P9, he's got his teammate just misjudging the hairpin there. I wonder if they'll be talking to each other here at this point. It looks like Princess Peach on the race suit and helmet for Floody. Zen on the inside is going to be holding his breath coming through here, because this is where his first lap went so very wrong. But with his teammate there and the trust they've got between them, that worked out well enough for the two Team Van der Fert drivers. This a bit of a bad track in what has otherwise been a very successful season so far for the second place team. There's Mercury in P10 heading on through, and behind him Camzilla looking for an opportunity down into what is now turn 1 here in the reverse configuration. No way through, but certainly making his intentions known on Mercury's AMG. But Mercury is only concerned with whether he can overtake Floody here, about to hit the quadruple left section of this track. If you can hold that inside line, I think you're guaranteed to gain a place here. I go through the 4th and final part of that one, but fantastic work from Floody, leaving the space on the inside, trusting that Mercury doesn't understeer into him, and hanging on to 9th place. That was very nicely done through there from our racers. Here's Camzilla in 11th. Behind him, a long way back, is Larry, 14 seconds. So 14 seconds is the gap that both team builder Lamborghinis have to the cars in front. Larry in 12th, K. Morris in 13th, and Preston in 14th place. Larry coming for my job from his Black Flag Racing League yesterday, as our roles were reversed, and he had the opportunity to roast me as we raced in the junior or beginner league on ACC. For a second there, the livery appeared, didn't it, in the far distance for K. Morris. It's actually a Kool-Aid livery, and there's Preston in 14th place. 14 seconds now after 19 laps is the gap for Don't Need Time. This is something else in terms of dominance on the circuit. What game are we talking about? This is Returnal for Team Sony Interactive. I don't know the game at all, but Don't Cry and Nerf This are there as the messages. Lots of Webbo stickers as well. Thank you so much, and a nice spacescape with a little bit of roof decoration as well. That is difficult to make out, I'm afraid, on a stream with our camera angles, but we'll try and keep an eye out for any further. This is Nismo in his Nismo. It's John Kai in the Honda NSX. These 4 drivers have been battling over 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th position for a long portion of the race now. And there goes Don't Need Time coming into the pits with 2 litres of fuel remaining off his medium tyres. Job done to a very satisfactory level, I think you'd have to say at this stage. Comacopa will want to get a lap or 2 more out of his hard tyres, I think. But the fuel may not let him. He may be on his final lap on the fuel. Nismo can go long. Wow! What on earth just went down there? That was absolutely crazy from these drivers as they run through. Let's have another look, because it looked like the NSX got into the Nismo and then either distracted or just plain making an error here was Glovas, just missing the braking zone, going super long, managed to avoid wiping them out, and then you can see what went down from the rest of them. That was absolutely mad. Very uncharacteristic issue, and for both of them that is absolutely crucial, because they want to make use of these hard tyres to the end. Glovas has picked up significant damage. That front left is dying, is almost dead, you have to say. And if the front tyres are dead at this point in the race, the medium tyres will not reach home in anything but a worse condition than that. So there's a lot left to go in the race. It's 28.5 minutes left to run, and while it's true that Don't Need Time managed to run half the race distance on a set of mediums, not everybody has been able to take it as easy on their tyres. Not everybody is driving the Peugeot, and Glovas is most definitely not driving a Peugeot. There's some damage on that beautiful Minolta livery, and obviously some damage to the Pride as well for that moment. Thankfully he didn't wipe anybody else's race out either, or at the same time, but he's going to need to pit this lap or the next lap, and then just hope he can be a bit easier on his tyres to get home, be slightly less fuel on board for the run into the flag. And in we go then at the end of lap 20, as well as Junkai and Comacopa, but Nismo had the most fuel of anybody. Either was able to save a bit of fuel running behind Comacopa, or just driving a car that is lighter on its fuel usage, which I suspect is probably a combination of the 2 factors. Nismo leads by 17.6 seconds from Don't Need Time, but of course Nismo has yet to make his pit stop. Kayotka has pitted. He has lost 11.4 seconds to Don't Need Time, but he is 3 seconds faster having pitted earlier than Don't Need Time, so that is quite considerable from him. Hopefully he's got enough fuel on board to finish the race. Comacopa now comes out of the pits, full tank of fuel, new set of medium tyres that have got to go a long distance comparatively here in the Ferrari. So managing the car throughout the course of this race is going to be a huge challenge for Comacopa, as well as being aggressive enough to challenge for net second position from Parappa the Rapper, or Chaotica as it is, of course, on his run through this great race for GTDPRO. It's Junkai in 5th place then. He's pitted, he's taken on fuel. Larry, I think, has not pitted yet in the Lamborghini. He can go to the end of this lap, I think, only, and no further. Nismo now pits with 7 litres of fuel remaining. That's probably just about more than a lap, just about less than a lap's usage, I suspect, because I think he had tyres to get home to a finish, to the end. It says hard tyres on his car. I don't think it will be. I think he'll be switching to mediums once the pit stop sequence has completed. And Comacopa is promoted to 3rd place for a moment, because Nismo is on his way out on that new set of medium tyres. He's put less fuel in than the Ferrari, a significant amount less fuel, about 20%, 20% more, less than the Ferrari put in. So obviously his stationary time was less, but his weight penalty is also going to be a lot less here. So at the moment, I think I'd be leaning, if I were Jim, to starting on the hards and trying to go long. Ultimately, I guess if you start in the mediums, you have got the opportunity to make the switch to the 2-stop much earlier. But let me, hopefully, I'm thinking along the right lines. Let me know, Jim, if I'm just talking up my backside. Comacopa is looking aggressive here. He's got better tyres and a better handling Ferrari at this stage, as they take it very cagey, very carefully on the way through the hairpin, but it's completed. It's looking good. Komakopa up to P2. Here he comes, sizing up Chaotica into the hairpin. I think the first overtake we've seen successfully through this hairpin, leaving good space behind as well, as you would always expect from Komakopa. And he's back up to second position, and he can go off at least at this stage in search of a gap and some comfort to P3, and then manage the gap to the car behind. Hards are really slippery in the morning, cool weather. That's a really interesting thought there as well. And of course the track getting warmer, getting grippier, but does that then mean you'll tip over the balance? It's Croatia after all. It's a warm country. It's by the coast. Does that mean that actually the tyre wear will be greater in the second half of the race as well, or even though the tyres may be slipping less? You've got Chaotica in third, Nismo in fourth, and John Kite running in fifth place on lap 23. We have 23, just over 23 minutes left to run. S. Berman is in sixth place. Everybody has made one pit stop now, I believe. There is S. Berman back into sixth place. Glovas in seventh, having repaired the car, got fuel and tyres on as well. The mediums last fairly well in that cool condition, because you're not managing as much slip. So yeah, so medium hard may be the way that we're thinking is the better way to go. Okay, it's all going to be very car specific though, I'm sure. Team Van der Vet in the Audi. You can barely tell it's an Audi with this livery, but it is led at the moment by Zen, and I'd love to have seen what Zen could do at the front of this race, but he's now 36 seconds deficit to don't need time. He has got the hard tyres on for this second stint of the race. Floodie's in ninth, his teammate behind him, and then you've got Camzilla and Mercury fighting over 10th, and this is a nice close battle right now as well. Camzilla down the inside into the piff path. Difficult to make that move stick, but trying to at least put Mercury off his ideal line as they come on out of that chicane and in towards the final corner. Camzilla climbing all over the curb, getting a little bit oversteery in comparison to Mercury, but that might help fight the dirty air effect on the way through what is a long corner. Helicopter doing its best to keep up with our GT3 racers. We look for possibly a move to come into the double right-hander. Certainly the boat of the Minolta Mercury Mercedes is struggling at the moment. There's Larry in 12th, he's on the medium tyres. He's got his pit stop out the way, but nearly a minute behind the leader at the moment. K. Morris is a minute 5 back, and Preston a minute 21. Bear in mind that the race laps are in the region of 1 minute 36 to 8. So I should think Preston is likely to go a lap down before the end of today's race. Here is Don't Need Time with an 11-second gap to Komakopa, who is now managing the gap here. I think Chaotica may have just had a problem and dropped a position. Unfortunately, I'm slightly too late to see that. So Chaotica has ceded position to Nismo. Nismo promoted to third place, and I wonder if that will be a more equal battle between Komakopa and Nismo. They're on the same tyres. Chaotica will be playing the patient game here and waiting for a potential opportunity at the end of today's race, because his hard tyres will be in much better shape than these mediums as the sun starts to really burn down upon our asphalt and heat things up. Glorious mountain seaside resort here for the Dragon Trail racetracks. It's quite weird how these things work, but we're in Croatia and Dragon Trail Seaside for SVR later today for the G1 race after the GTD race. If you like GT racing, today is this channel is the place to be today, because we go triple back-to-back races as we often do on Deviant days. It's Nismo in P3 then, 2 seconds away from Komakopa. Chaotica and Junkai fighting now. Chaotica is struggling, you have to say, on the hard tyres right now. in comparison to these medium runners who might be eating their lunch a little bit too fast here. I wonder if they're not being quite as patient as they need to be. Will they regret this later on, the medium runners, or is it always just the case, just go as fast as you possibly can at any given time and live with whatever result that might give you later in a race stint? But personally, I think we need to be thinking about it, as the medium runners are looking like, well, there's certainly John Kai sliding through that final corner, caught in the dirty air, a little bit of oversteer. It looked good, but is it costing too much here? Can Chaotica be patient enough to wait for his chance, and can he keep the laps consistent enough to be close at the end? It's 28 seconds his deficit to the leader, but it's only what is it, 15 seconds deficit to the podium. I think that's going to be difficult to pick up, even if the medium tyres start to fade at the end of the race. As we watch John Kai, then we'll join him on board as he sizes up that Peugeot, and presumably, I don't know if he'll be enjoying that livery, but it's hard to miss, which is often a good idea for a livery. If you want to be good at defending and not be hit, having a very bold coloured or primary colour livery is probably a good move. As Jim's saying, this is the gamble everybody's taking. Powering out of that's the medium tyre versus the hard tyre on the traction. This has got to be a great opportunity now for John Kai. Let's change camera, shall we, slightly, as he's got the outside better braking zone into the piff path. And can he go clean all the way around? He can go all the way around. That was a beautiful manoeuvre, and I think it will just perhaps watch that one again as John Kai goes for this opportunity. This was built on the exit out of the hairpin, and then he really still had to do a lot of work on the brakes here down the outside, giving the space to the inside as well, because all the time you have to leave the space. And through goes the Honda for Team Polio Loco, and he's up to 4th place. Chaotica dropping back then at this phase, as they had to suffer earlier on, the rest of the drivers around him on the hard tyre. Love this camera angle as we go down down the back stretch, as it were. Glovas will be the next driver thinking of an overtake. Hopefully he can not run quite so long into the first 2 corners as he did prior to the pit stops. I won't do any more to remind him of that one. Purple sector for Glovas. Don't know if that will last throughout the course of this lap, because he's now going to be right behind the Peugeot. If you can time this run just like John Kai did on the previous lap, try and get a really early throttle application out of the hairpin here. That's the aim anyway. He tries to get that overspeed on Chaotica's Peugeot up ahead. It's not quite as powerful, the difference between the Mercedes and the Peugeot. So Chaotica just having to live the driver's being a lot more careful over this piff path chicane at this latter part of the race, and I think that is the first indication really we've seen of one of the medium runners starting to play the long game here. The Mercedes does wear its tyres quite rapidly. So Glovas with his personal best time on lap 28:33 something, as it quickly disappears from my view. Komakoba has the fastest lap. So Don't Need Time doesn't have every plaudit from today's race. That's not the first time we've seen Glovas very wide on exit of a corner, facing a blunt-ended barrier, and trying to get the car back on the asphalt. Great to have so many of you with us here today. Make sure you say hello. Jim is going to steal the leaderboard in the chat if nobody else decides to contribute today. I know you're all practicing. Generally speaking, I do find it quite funny that the GTD races are the most well attended and viewed over the course of the 2 weeks in between races and the live audience. I understand the live deal because the GTDPRO drivers have nothing to practice for immediately, but I do find it quite interesting that that the GTD race, even after 2 weeks, still is the most viewed of our races. So I wonder what's going on there with the GTD Pros. I don't know if that's because the pro drivers are the ones who are sort of most long-standing in the league, have more invested, like to know what's going on. They might well be involved in the sort of management training of their drivers more. Maybe that's the deal. But of course, GTD Pro also has Mr. Fish. Sorry, GTD also has Mr. Fish, which is a strong draw for the crowd. And we get a lot of fish emojis in the live audience for GTD. So that could be also that. Jim saying, I'm also sharing info from the field with my teammates while the race is going on. Very nice indeed. Very nice indeed. So Camzilla in 10th. He's stuck between Floody in 9th and Mercury behind. A bit of a scarred up Ferrari. I think we've done pretty well without the safety car. I don't know if our live audience has got any opinion on that, or even our on-demand audience has got an opinion on that. Drop it in the comments or the live chat as appropriate. But what do you think so far? Have we suffered a loss of the safety car period, or is it actually, are we still having quite a bit of fun here? 13 minutes 52 to go on the clock. Mercury's in 11th. I don't think we've had a bad race by any stretch of the imagination. The one thing we do lose is the opportunity to look at the liveries altogether within the caution period, but I've tried to make sure we check out all our new liveries here on the race that have appeared. K Morris is in 13th. He was at the back at the early part of the race, but he's brought himself back up to P13. Preston, though, having a bit of a day to forget, I'm afraid, for the Polyloco KFC liveried NSX. Preston running around at the back and not doing anything for his prospects of staying in the GTD Pro League this next season 4.3. Don't need time. His gap at the moment, 7 clear seconds to Komakopa, whose last laps were significantly quicker than Don't Need Time, but I don't think quick enough to make up a 7-second deficit with 12 and a half minutes to go here in the race. Never say never. And of course, the closer Komakopa gets, the more pressure Don't Need Time will be under, as if he wasn't already under enough pressure from the fact that he's got a 4-race winning streak to defend here. And actually, look, Komakopa can see Don't Need Time occasionally. I think you'll just get a quick glimpse of him as he heads into the pith path. Oh no, he's through the pith path over the crest. But I think certainly on the start-finish straight, merde for Komakopa there. That is heartbreaking. Unfortunately, I don't think that's tyres. Front left is looking a little bit bad, but unfortunately for him, that is a big problem. Then in his quest to try and catch the leader, he's lost second position. It's too much of that sausage curb. Exit stage left for Komakopa, I'm afraid to say. So yeah, he's lost it again, going through the final corner as well. Komakopa, we will forget about lap 30 here. We've got no damage on the car. So what happened as we turn into the corner? Maybe just cold tyres or just slightly offline. And a full 360, rescued without significant damage on the car. Komakopa's going to do well now to hold on to P3 after trying to regain the battle. Look at the deficit he's lost. He was 7 seconds away from Don't Need Time. It's now 26 after 2 Spinellas. I mean, he does drive a Ferrari, so that is fairly appropriate. But it does just mean that Don't Need Time probably is even more locked in for the potential victory here today. The drivers on the medium tyres having to take care here over the rest of this stint, and actually that does look a little bit worrying. That's about 52-53% worn on Nismo's front left, and you can only go to about 85% before you're suffering big problems. I'm not sure that these mediums are going to reach the end of the race, unfortunately. Certainly not comfortably. I think in the panic, Komakopa has turned on his left turn signal as well. So it'll be slightly distracting for John Kai, but I think he'll be able to deal with it. And John Kai has been running a much more measured stint here. So he's been a bit more careful on his tyres. I think that will reap dividends later on, especially if he does get to try and challenge Komakopa in the final 10 minutes of our race. Glovas, his front left looks decidedly difficult to maintain for the end of the race, and it's a shame because obviously the one stop would have been preferable for everybody, but I think it might be stretching the capabilities of the driver's tyre management racecraft that a little bit too far. Chaotica is 4.3 seconds away from Glovas, 36 seconds away from the lead of the race and his teammate. Behind them we've got Zen and Berman. Zen has moved up to P7. I just wonder if we can catch the recent overtake there for Zen. Sadly not, because Berman was actually bearing down here, down the outside on the way in towards the quadruple left section. Left, 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 and left again we go. And Zen just running out of tyres, running out of grip on the exit. Berman was already fully committed to the corner and goes through. I don't know how Zen will be feeling about that one. Perhaps you can let me know in the comments. But we'll have another look from Zen's perspective here. We go into this corner. We missed the apex on the third part. That puts us out into the dirt. And as we try to recover, well, Berman is going for the gap, but perhaps should have left a little bit more room. I'm not sure really on the rights and wrongs of that one. You'll have to let me know. 8.5 minutes to go. Zen back down to 8th then, but he was running inside the top 5 or 6 at the very start of the race, so he could have perhaps challenged for the podium today. Mercury in P9 and Floody in P10, coming through the Piff Path on lap 32 together. Half a second separating these two. Probably the closest battle we have on the grid at the moment. Certainly their markers on the track map look as close as anybody. Mercury in P9, Floody running in that P10. Larry is in 11th. Camzilla looks to be catching Larry here as well. Although I think Camzilla was further up in the order, so I think Camzilla's had a problem throughout the race, lost ground. Larry's still in 11th, still some 13.5 seconds away from 10th position and a good haul of points. Kay Morris in 13th and Preston in 14th place, and that's the leader. Don't Need Time closing in behind Preston right now as he comes through the final corner. 7.5 minutes, less than that to go. Just on 7 minutes now as we head into the start of lap 34 for the leader. So I'm fully expecting that at least Preston will not have to do the full complement of laps. Everybody races to the hour, and the checkered flag comes out on that hour, and then you finish as you pass under the checkered flag for the first time. You don't stay on the lead lap, even if you are still on there. You don't finish your racing lap, as it were. So Nismo P2, and his gap is 14.9 seconds to Don't Need Time. That's a huge gulf. Yeah, Don't Need Time has been in incredible form, and I was just reading earlier on in the Discord that this is true in other divisions of racing. Don't Need Time is having a fantastic time at the moment, in a rich line of form, as Komakopa has extended his gap to Junkai to only 0.8 of a second at this stage. Junkai's right there, trying to stay with him, but they're both trying to manage the medium tyre to the finish of the race. It's going to start feeling like it's more achievable now. We've got just under 6 minutes to go. Here is Glovas in P5, and his front left is a problem. You've got to say, you wouldn't really want to do more than 2 more laps on that front left right now. He's over-fueled. That might mean he's carrying too much weight penalty, wearing his front left too much as well. He'll be jacking his brake balance fully to the rear to try and to protect that front left as much as he possibly can, doing everything he can with his driving style. But ultimately, you have to turn right more than you turn left around this circuit, so you're always going to be leaning on that left tyre as the weight transfers to the opposite direction of each turn. And you're going to need to avoid the curbs as well. That tends to chew up the tyre even more. This curb in particular, as Comacopa doesn't half come close to that barrier. Let's have a look. How close to the wall did Comacopa just come on the exit of the double right here? Let's see if we can get this sort of camera angle here. Let's see if we can measure that in inches as we come out. Oh, no, I can't measure that in inches. Wow. That was, I'd love to pause that actually and see, I should have paused it and see just how close he came. But he has lost the position to John Kai, and I think that might be going through. Yeah, it's the same thing that happened to Zen earlier on, and he didn't get sent into the scenery by John Kai on the way through on the inside. So perhaps that's how Zen would have preferred things to have gone, but ultimately Comacopa and Zen running wide through the third part of the 4-part left-hand corner, and then he's clattering that curb that caught him out earlier on as well and lost him his P2. Comacopa getting ragged as we close out this race. Unfortunately, 3 minutes 43 to go, whereas don't need time on the circuit. He's already crossed the line, so difficult for me to just estimate right now how many more laps we have to go. I think that's going to be 2, but Comacopa in 4th, and Glovas will be thinking about that 4th place, but mostly he's thinking about that left front and whether he can get this car safely home. The Mercedes is a long wheelbase car, and once it starts to go, it's a little bit like the Porsche, really hard to hold on to and predict. Chaotica should be coming good now relative to the cars in front of him. He's on the hard tyres, he's on low fuel, should be able to be pushing to the end of the race, unlike the cars in front of him, with the exception of his teammate. And there's Berman in 7th, had a little touch with Zen, but has ultimately his pace has been much faster than the other drivers. Zen has dropped back again, actually back to P10, and I think might be managing a fuel situation. Possibly. Let's see, very partial throttle there through the quadruple left. We'll see if he's doing a bit of Lyco, lift and coast on the way into the corners. Certainly spent a long time off the throttle through there. Yeah, I wonder if Zen is worried about the fuel. He's already flashing red, and we still have another 2 minutes of racing to go. Floodie's on the hard tyres, chasing down Mercury, who's trying those mediums, and they're in very similar condition to Glovas, his teammate. So Floodie should have the advantage here in this battle. Let's wait and see if that's what happens ultimately. Floodie, P9. Looking for a good run out of the final corner with 1 minute 34 to go, so it will be the final lap for these drivers at very least. Floodie to the inside, into that double right. Mercury just can't get the car stopped when he's stuck on the outside. Can Floodie save this one before hitting into the barrier? He had to be off throttle for a long time. Mercury coming right back at him and collecting that position once again. Let's look at that from Mercury's point of view, because down the inside goes Floodie, cuts off our route to the apex here, so we'll decide to go very wide for a narrow exit, place our bets on Floodie having to overcommit to the outside and then taking that place straight back again. I just want to make sure I catch Don't Need Time, who is going to cross the line to start his final lap at least. We know that for a fact. But we're into the final minute before the checkered flag will fall. Nisno will complete another lap. John Kai will be comfortable in 3rd place. I think that will be a popular finish then for John Kai. I think he'll be really pleased with that in the end. Then Glovas likewise should be able to exit the corner without picking up the checkered flag. I'm not sure if it's going to be the same situation here for Chaotic. Yeah, it will be. He'll easily make this one. So let's see if Floody and Mercury do come home. And Mercury has gone wrong at the end, right at the end of the race. What is their final lap? Unfortunately, Floody just struggling to get through the corner. Sorry, Floody. It's Mercury who struggled. Floody will cross the line just over the hour for P8. Let's have another look then at what happened to the car behind him, as this is on board with the Mercedes. We get a good run through that corner. Actually, that was really nice through the piff path, and then unfortunately we just get a little bit too much of it and into the barrier he goes. So then it's Mercury, Zen and Larry finishing in 9th, 10th, 11th. Camzilla crossing the line in 12th, and we have K Morris in 13th, about to come across here. Preston has been lapped, so K Morris will cross the line in 13th place, and we will have Don't Need Time under the helicopter and celebrating his 5th back-to-back victory. A little too early perhaps, a J-turn necessary across the line. He did that a little bit early, but Don't Need Time wins in Croatia. Nismo will have a yellow flag in front of him as a result of a driver celebrating too early. Personally, I think in league racing we should not allow spin turns on the line because of that factor. Nismo in P2 is going to be very pleased with that, I think. Junkai crosses the line to secure the podium for Polio Loco, and Komakopa in the end too dramatic his race, but P4 is good points for Predators, and Glovas did get that tyre home on the absolute canvas. Chaotica in 6th place, meaning 1 and 6 for Team Sony Interactive, and S. Berman completes our finishes in P7. Congratulations to those drivers. What a great race we had for us here. I will advance, have a quick look at the finishing order, but Don't Need Time is the victor for the 5th consecutive time in only round 6 of this season 4.2. Can he make it 6 and a maximum championship score? Tune in same time in 2 weeks' time, of course, to find out. Don't Need Time ahead of Nismo, Junkai and Komakopa, with Glovas, Chaotica, Berman and Floody. Your top 8. Komakopa did hold on to that fastest lap by just over 1/10 of a second from your eventual winner, Don't Need Time. So the bonus point goes to Komakopa. Mercury, Zen, Larry, Camzilla, K Morris and Preston. Your provisional results then for GTD Pro. Stay tuned, and we'll be live online with GTD very soon. I will have a throat sweep. Try and protect the voice. You can submit a live chat for a moment, a super chat or a thanks tip if you so wish. Also check out the merch store as well, linked in the description. But from me, Webbo, from us here at Deviant Racing, thank you for your support. Thank you for watching today, and we will catch you on the next race day.